Let's talk about these ice cube trays. We use ice cube trays instead of our ice maker because honestly, we've had a leak in our refrigerator before and it caused a lot of damage. So we just don't use our water line. We use ice cube trays. And so I have a lot of different ones I've used to compare these two. So I'm gonna give you my take based on maybe being an ice cube tray expert. All right, so the first thing is you get a lot. When they come, they're stacked, but they consist of the bottom and the top lid. Now the top lid is a little more, I don't know if brittle is the right word. It would be more likely to break, if that makes sense. It's a little bit more brittle. There was tabs that came on these edges and they broke off on one side. But I don't care, it doesn't really affect anything. There's a tab on the other end and you can take them off otherwise. You don't even have to use these with the top. The nice thing about it is if you are putting the ice cube tray in the freezer and it's on an uneven surface, it will not leak. You can turn it upside down with water on it and it won't leak. So that's one thing to know, is the top is just like a more rigid plastic. And then the bottom is a rigid and kind of thin plastic, but then a silicone bottom that's flexible on top. And I really like that because with other ice trays, I would go like this, crack them to get them to come out. But with this, you just push the bottom and it comes out. So they're just coming out. Now, it does suggest on the instructions that once you take it out of the freezer, you either let it sit for 30 seconds, which these have been sitting for 30 seconds, or you run them under the water for 30 seconds. And that is just to loosen frozen, but it lets just the ice around the edges melt just a tiny bit to where they come out like they just come out. Whereas other trays I've had, you really have to, like I said, twist. And so these come out easier than anything else. I like that the cubes are kind of small. One, because I like smaller ice cubes. Two, because I found that it's nicer to have more smaller trays that you can hide and fit around in your freezer than it is larger trays that you just have they're competing with the frozen fruits and that kind of stuff. So I've really enjoyed these, and I think the only thing I would say is a negative is that the top sometimes can be a tiny bit hard to get off. And like I said, the tabs broke, but it just doesn't matter. One, there's another tab. Two, they come off fine. Three, you could use it without. These are inexpensive. The price isn't expensive, but I like these. These are my favorite ice cube trays that I own and have owned. I would not put them in the dishwasher because they are kind of thin plastic. I would think maybe they would melt. And honestly, I just use these for water, so I don't really need to put them in the dishwasher. After I empty one, I just rinse it out with water and then fill it back up with water. So I think maybe if you were doing something sticky like juice, I think it still is just really easy to hand wash. I hope that helps.